What's going on, chat? How we doing today? Had a mediocre kind of day today. The day's still not over, so we'll see how the rest of the night goes. Hope you guys are doing good. It was nice and sunny out today, so I'm pretty pleased about that. But without further ado, let's get into it. It pays to know how to purchase knowledge. First of all, decide on the sort of specialized knowledge you require and the purpose for which it is needed. To a large extent, your major purpose in life, the goal toward which you are working, will help determine what knowledge you need. With this question settled, your next move requires that you have accurate information concerning dependable sources of knowledge. The more important of these are A. One's own experience in education. B. Experience in education available through cooperation of others. C. Colleges and universities. D. Public libraries through books and periodicals in which may be found all the knowledge organized by civilization. E. Specialized training courses through evening classes and distance learning courses in particular. As knowledge is required, it must be organized and put into use. For a defined purpose through the practical plans, knowledge has no value except that which can be gained from its application towards some worthy end. This is one reason why university degrees are not guarantees of successful careers. If you contemplate taking additional schooling, first determine the purpose for which you want the knowledge you are seeking. Then learn where this practical sort of knowledge can be obtained from reliable sources. Successful people in all callings never stop acquiring specialized knowledge related to their major purpose, business, or profession. Those who are not successful usually make the mistake of believing that the knowledge acquiring period ends when they finish school. The truth is that schooling does little more than point one in the direction of how to acquire practical knowledge. Year after year, university careers advisors report that recruiters who come to their campuses are chiefly interested in hiring students who have studied in a specialized field such as business, management, computer science, mathematics, chemistry, and other areas that prepare them to move rapidly into productive jobs, rather than the liberal arts student who have broader but unspecialized schooling. However, there are many students with great potential who did not choose a specialization because they were not sure at age 18 to 20 in what areas they wanted to make their careers. Many of these men and women have a diversified education as undergraduates, but choose a career-oriented post-grad qualification. Young readers of this book should not rush into choosing a specialty until they learn enough about what the field entails, its opportunities, and its disadvantages. Most universities and colleges provide information and guidance to students to help them make this key decision. Whether or not such guidance is available, students should explore a variety of fields, read as much as possible about the field, and talk with people who currently are engaged in that work. Not all careers require a university degree. Some other types of training are available. Most universities have continuing education programs for people who want specialized knowledge. Some offer certificate programs in which some desirous of either learning a new field or honing their skills in that field can take a series of carefully designed courses to obtain the necessary knowledge. These courses are given in the evening or at weekends and are usually attended by adults rather than college-age students. Home study programs, often referred to as distance learning, are available by corresponding or through the internet. One advantage of home studying is the flexibility of the program that permits one to study during spare time. Another stupendous advantage, if the provider is carefully chosen, is the fact that most courses offered provide opportunity for students to obtain clarification or additional information by mail or email, which can be of priceless value to those needing specialized knowledge. No matter where you live, you can share the benefits. The self-discipline one receives from a defined program of specialized study makes up to some extent for the wasted opportunity when knowledge was available without cost. The home study method of training is especially suited to the needs of employed people who find after leaving school that they must acquire additional specialized knowledge but cannot spare the time to go back to school. The continuously changing economic conditions in our society have made it necessary for thousands of people to find additional or new sources of income. For the majority, the solution to their problem may be found only by acquiring specialized knowledge. Many will be forced to change their occupations entirely. When a merchant finds that a certain line of merchandise is not selling, he usually supplements it with another that is in demand. The person who business is that of marketing their services must also be an efficient merchant. If their services do not bring adequate returns in one occupation, they must change to another where broader opportunities are available. The person who stops studying merely because they have finished school and forever hopelessly doomed to mediocrity, no matter what their calling. The way of success is the way of continuous pursuit of knowledge. Let us consider a specific instance. During an economic downturn, a salesman in a grocery store was made redundant. Rather than seek a job in an economy where jobs were scarce, he chose to create a business of his own. Having had some bookkeeping experience, he took a special course in accounting, familiarizing himself with the latest bookkeeping techniques and office equipment. Starting with the grocer for whom he had formerly worked, he made contracts with more than 100 small merchants to keep their books at a very nominal monthly fee. His idea was so practical that he soon found it necessary to set up a portable office in a light delivery truck, which he equipped with modern office equipment. He now has a fleet of these bookkeeping offices on wheels and employs a large staff of assistants, thus providing small merchants with accounting service equal to the best money can buy, a very nominal cost. Specialized knowledge plus imagination were the ingredients that went into this unique and successful business. Last year, the owner of that business paid income tax almost 10 times as much as he was paid by the merchant for whom he once worked. The loss of his job forced upon him a temporary adversity that proved to be a blessing in disguise. The beginning of this successful business was an idea. In so much as I had the privilege of supplying the unemployment salesman with that idea, I now assume the further privilege of suggesting another idea that has within it the possibility of even greater income, plus the possibility of rendering useful service to thousands of people who badly need that service. The idea was suggested to the salesman, who gave up selling and went into the business of keeping books on a wholesale basis. When the plan was suggested as a solution to his unemployment problem, he quickly examined. I liked the idea, but I would not know how to turn it into cash. In other words, he complained he would not know how to market his bookkeeping knowledge after he acquired it. So that brought up another problem to be solved. With the aid of a young woman clever at hand lettering and who could put the story together, a very attractive book was prepared describing the advantages of the new system of bookkeeping. The pages were neatly typed and pasted in an ordinary scrapbook, which was used as a sales tool. The story of this new business was so effectively told that its owner soon had more accounts than he could handle. Thousands of people needed services of a merchandising specialist capable of preparing an attractive brief for use in marketing their services. The aggregate annual income from such a service might easily exceed that received by the largest employment agency, and the benefits of the service might be made far greater to the purchaser than any to be obtained from an employment agency. The idea here described was born of necessity to bridge an emergency that had to be covered, but it did not stop by merely servicing one person. The woman who created the idea has a keen imagination. She saw in her newly born brainchild the making of a new profession, one destined to provide a valuable service to thousands of people who need practical and guidance in marketing their services. Spurred to action by the instantaneous success of her first prepared plan to market services, this energetic woman turned next to the solution of a similar problem for her son, who had just finished college but had been totally unable to find a market for his services. The plan she imagined for his use was the finest specimen of merchandising of services I have ever seen. When the planned book had been completed, it contained nearly 50 pages of beautifully typed, properly organized information, telling the story of her son's natural abilities, schooling, personal experiences, and a great variety of other information too extensive for description. The plan book also contained a complete description of the position her son desired, together with a marvelous word picture of the exact plan he would use in filling the position. The preparation of the plan book required several weeks' labor, during which time its creator sent her son to the public library almost daily to procure data needed in selling his service to best advantage. She also had him to all the competitors of his prospective employer and gathered from them vital information concerning their business methods, which was of great value in the formation of the plan he intended to use in filling the position he sought. When the plan had been finished, he contained more than half a dozen very fine suggestions for the use and benefit of the prospective employer, which were put to use by the company after he was hired. One may be inclined to ask, why go to all this trouble to secure a job? The answer is straight to the point. It is also dramatic because it deals with a subject which assumes the proportion of a tragedy with millions of men and women whose sole source of income is their services. I think I'll take a pause there. It's very fascinating to see that. Let me first find out when this book was published. This book was published back in 2003. And it's very fascinating to see that it even mentions that in today's day and age, or even when this book was written, it talked about the idea that people are in very economical situations where they have to acquire new or additional skills or knowledge to make additional income. And I think you see that a lot today for sure. And the reason why I bring it up because it's so prevalent now. But one thing that I think I'm capturing, or something that I'm noticing, is the idea that people are more honed in on those additional set of income than their traditional income, which is getting a steady job. They're more keen on, let me take the risk, or let me bet on myself to make a business, to create an idea and go out there and implement that idea to service people, or to market myself. Like, for instance, in being an influencer, a streamer is so prevalent now, in such a way that it can be monetized because of my liking or the way I present myself to social media or whatever, right? And I just find that very fascinating. I wonder if things will ever change. I wonder if it's just one of those things where it's always talked about, where the economy is such at a difficult situation for many people, where they have to acquire very specialized knowledge or very specific skills that makes them additional income. Who knows? But I thought that was pretty, reflective to think about. But obviously we're in the middle of a story, so apart from that there's not much to say. So we'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.